Hey, what's going on, guys? TrickWire here, and today I'm going to be giving my first impressions after playing the Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands closed beta. Now, in this video, I'm going to be giving my pros and cons, my thoughts, and I'm going to be sort of giving you an idea whether or not you should pay the full $60 for it. Now, before I start this video, I must address that there are a few things that are subject to change, being a closed beta. When the game finally releases sometime in March, some things are going to change from the beta, and that's inevitable. But without further ado, let's get into the pros. Starting off with the pros, we got the wildlands themselves. The wildlands are absolutely beautiful. The valleys, the forests, the dense vegetation. It's all just so nice to look at. I can just imagine what this game would look like on a very powerful PC. It's breathtaking, really. Looking at the views, looking at the lens flares, it's just really nice to look at. It's a really nice game to look at. And next up on the list, we got the day and night cycle and the weather effects. Now, the day and night cycle and weather effects force you to make a decision when you want to strike an outpost. Now, obviously, at night, it'll be harder for you to be detected, and when it's a stormy night, it'll be harder for enemies to hear you, so that's a huge advantage. Now, alongside that advantage, you also, which is the next pro on this list, you have the ability to turn on night vision, and with an upgrade, thermal vision. Night vision, obviously, the darker it is, the easier it will be for you to see. And thermal vision is really useful, especially when you're sniping, to see enemies at night. Next up on the list, we got guns and gun customization. There are so many guns in this game, and they can all be modded with different sights, different barrels, different muzzles, different grips, different stocks. The amount of guns in this game alone are absolutely amazing, and not even counting the amount of ways you can customize them. And next up on the list, a really big one, the amount of missions and maps in this game. There are 21 bosses, and each of those bosses have their own map. Each boss also has 5 mini-bosses, which each require a piece of major intel to locate. All of this content means 21 bosses, 105 mini-bosses, and 21 different areas to explore, and all of these areas were absolutely huge. The closed beta that I played only had one area, and it felt like it took about 10 minutes to get from one side to the other. This means that the whole map of the entire game must be absolutely gigantic. And next up on the list is the co-op in this game, which is really fun. Getting 4 people together to do a mission is absolutely exhilarating. There's all this teamwork and trust with your teammates. The team shooting is also really stressful, but gives you a little rush, and I absolutely adore it. And last up on the pros is the animal sounds in this game. There are so many different animal sounds in the game, just when you're walking through the dense forests at night. It's just, it adds a sort of mood to the game, and I really, really like it. That being said, let's move on to the cons. The cons, first up, notice it instantly when I open the game. The lip syncing is terrible. The words are delayed about a second after they say it in the game, or maybe a second earlier, but it's not right. Something's weird, it's awkward, it just doesn't look right. Here, take a look.
Promised? A single Yankee died, so you send a handful of soldiers. Hundreds of Bolivians have died from Santa Blanca's bullets. Where will my hundreds of soldiers come from?
As Americans, we aren't here, remember? These soldiers are the best covert ops team our country has to offer. With their help, you won't need hundreds of soldiers.
Are you familiar with the word Huber, Senora Bowman?
Meet Pakatari, leader of the resistance group Kataris 26. We will be working with the rebels to destabilize Santa Blanca's organization.
Next up on the list is the driving, which is awkward. The traction is weird, and the cars feel arcadey at times. Maybe a small point, but consider you're doing so much driving in this game, considering the massive maps. You'd think they work a little bit harder on it. And next up on the list, the constant camera issues, which will move itself at times when you're taking cover. And let's say you're shooting down a hallway and you want to duck your head, you'll move the other way and so will the camera. So next time you aim at that hallway, you're going to be aiming at the wall. And that's a really important issue that needs to be fixed when the full game gets released. And next up on the list, important controls not given to the player. There are certain controls like switching shoulders and controlling your squad AI that are just never given to you, so you never know how to use them. I didn't realize how to switch from your right shoulder to your left shoulder until a friend told me, and that's a really big problem considering the game was so much easier after I figured it out. It solved so many of the camera issues, and it's a necessary control that you need to know. In addition, controlling your squad AI in single player is definitely something that the player should know how to do. I beat the entire beta and I never knew how to give commands to my squad other than doing a sync shot. And I feel that if I actually knew how to do that, I would enjoy the campaign all that much more. Next up, a funny but annoying one at that. Getting run over before a mission starts. Now, in Tom Clancy Ghost Recon Wildlands, you only have 2 lives in a mission. You die, and then you get revived, and if you die again, then you die for good until the mission's over. If you get run over by a car when you're on your way to a mission, if you're close enough, it will actually take away one of your lives before a mission even starts. Now, this is really dumb because now you have to restart the mission and now you're a kilometer away and you have to spend like 7 minutes getting back to the mission area, and if you get run over by another car, then you'll have to do it again just so you have enough lives to actually complete the mission. Next up on the list, a really disappointing one. Hearing the wildlife, but never seeing any. Of course, there are llamas and cows that graze the fields as you're driving by, but you never see any exotic animals or animals exclusive to Bolivia. And being a game with so many forests, you'd think you'd see more. And that's really disappointing, I must say. Last on the cons, a really serious one. The repetitiveness of the missions. You gather intel, interrogate one of the mini-bosses, kill one of the bigger bosses, and repeat until the final boss, El Sueño, is dead. Now, you should have expected this from a Ubisoft game, this being their main system of function, but it's just boring after a while, and that can really hurt the game in the long run. That's what happened to Mafia 3. I don't want that to happen to Ghost Recon Wildlands. Next up, I'm going to give you my thoughts and opinions when I was playing the game. Now, I enjoyed playing the game, however, it got really repetitive after long stretches of playtime. It's really fun to be super tactical when invading an enemy base, but you never really feel like it's necessary. You could just as easily complete every story mission going in guns blazing. Part of this may be since the game never properly teaches you how to control your squad AI teammates, so you never really get the full effectiveness and experience of working as a team. That being said, when you do work as a team, maybe with your friends or maybe with a bunch of randoms, it's a whole different experience. An experience that I feel is what the game has been going for since launch. by what it seems from playing the closed beta, I have a good feeling that this game will be okay. It won't be bad by any means, but it won't be anything revolutionary to the gaming industry. And last up for the video, should you buy the game, wait for a sale, or ignore? Now, Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands reminds me a whole lot of when Mafia 3 came out. Mafia 3 had a giant open world, not as big as Ghost Recon, mind you, but big nonetheless. However, when the game was released, people quickly came to the realization that the game was boring. All the missions were the same, but with different targets. Just assassinate a bunch of people. The world was generally empty, and because of this, not many people enjoyed the game. I'm worried that this might also be the case for Ghost Recon. If you are thinking about buying the game, I don't suggest that you pre-order it. Better to wait a few days until trusted reviewers cover the game, and then decide whether you want or not to buy the game. Anyways, guys, those have been my first impressions on Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Have you played Ghost Recon yet? If you have, tell me about your experience so far. If you haven't, tell me if you're gonna buy it in the comment section down below. That being said, this has been TrickWire. Peace.